This looks like a job for Superman.
I recently received the latest reprint of Action Comics #1, and so I've been reading through it as well as many of the other classic Golden Age Superman stories. I just so happen to also have been watching a lot of the old Popeye cartoons recently from the 1930s and 40s, and it suddenly processed with me the similarities between the two characters, and so I thought today I would go through the two characters' shared history. Now on the surface, these characters seem to have very little in common, especially in terms of appearance. However, the deeper you delve, the more similarities become apparent. Both were created in the 1930s before becoming fleshed out throughout World War II. Both have superhuman powers of strength, and are often seen saving a love interest. Interestingly enough, while both characters are more well known now for their TV and movie appearances, the two actually both debuted on the page. Popeye was created by E.C. Segar and first appeared in a 1929 Thimble Theatre comic strip, originally as a supporting character, only intended to appear in one issue. However, he was so popular that readers demanded his return, with the entire strip being rebranded to make Popeye the major character. His superhuman strength was established, however the idea of it originating from spinach came later on. This is why Popeye is often considered to be one of the first superheroes, or at least superpowered character, with even Jerry Siegel, one of Superman's creators, claiming Popeye to be one of their inspirations.
Superman fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice, disguised as a mild-mannered newspaper reporter, Clark Kent.
On that note, Superman first appeared in June 1938 in the pages of Action Comics #1, and unlike Popeye, was intended to be the book's biggest star from the very start. He similarly displayed superhuman abilities such as strength, but later gained flight, heat vision, and many more, and unlike Popeye, didn't require a source to obtain them. However, it was later retconned to be the sun's yellow rays. Kal-El is whom many consider to be the first true superhero, kickstarting the popularity of the genre on comic stands and paving the way for the rest of the heroes to be born. Both characters also developed very quickly, unlike Batman or Bugs Bunny, who took multiple appearances before their defining traits were properly realised. Supes and Popeye were instantly recognisable in their debut appearances, save for a few minor additions such as Superman's flight, really going to show the genius behind both characters. Now, around this time, theatrical animated shorts were becoming extremely popular, with Walt Disney's animated shorts starring Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck and Goofy dominating the industry. Disney rivals Fleischer Studios bought the license to use Popeye characters from King Features, with his animated debut titled Popeye the Sailor releasing in 1933. This cartoon established many of the conventions of the Popeye formula we know today, which had not been prevalent in the comics, such as his rivalry with Bluto and the aforementioned spinach. The short was an instant hit, spawning tons of Popeye shorts from the studio from the 1930s all the way to the late 50s, soaring Popeye to new levels of popularity, with him even taking Mickey Mouse's place for a brief period. The end of this first cartoon has always seemed very Superman-like to me, with Popeye stopping a train in its tracks with a single punch. Ironically, just under a decade later, the Fleischer brothers began to work on their own Superman cartoons, with the first being released in 1941. Much like Popeye, the shorts were a massive success, utilising rotoscoping, detailed animation and bright colours to give the shorts a unique style that stood out among many of the others being created at the time, and are still regarded as masterpieces to this day. Despite being created by the same studio, there was unfortunately never a crossover between the Sailor and the Man of Steel during these early shorts. However, the 1944 Popeye She-6 Sailors would prominently reference and feature the character of Superman, even playing the iconic theme from the Fleischer shorts. The short centres around Bluto dressing up as Superman to impress Olive Oil, with Popeye attempting to outdo him yet comically failing. I'm a particular fan of this scene from the short.
Pepper me chest with this.
That'd be murder.
Yeah, when it's your time.
Of course, the rivalry set up between Popeye and this stand-in Superman could be a nod to the two characters having similar origins and abilities in the real world, with the end of the episode even mirroring the one seen in the first Popeye short, which you may recall me mentioning as being Superman-like. Although the real Superman doesn't appear in this episode, only seen through his comics, this would be the closest audiences would get to an animated crossover between the two. Notice how I said animated? That's because in 1973, DC Comics would introduce their own sort of Popeye character in Action Comics 421, named Captain Strong. While not the exact character, it is clear his influences, with even Popeye's supporting cast getting their own DC doppelgangers in later appearances. Captain Strong was a very different take on the Popeye character in order to fit the style of the DC universe, with his spinach being seaweed from an alien world that acts as a drug, causing Strong to become addicted to it and desperate to get more. This causes a brawl between the two, with Strong seeming to have new powers that his cartoon counterpart didn't, like flight by swimming through the air. Anyway, this character must have been quite popular, appearing in 5 classic stories and even being revived during the New 52 era of DC. While not actually being the Popeye we all know and love, this is probably the closest we will ever get to seeing the two characters fight. Of course, Superman did win in this issue, but Popeye wasn't really in the best state of mind. As much as I like Superman, I do think Popeye would win in a real fight because of the limits of a cartoon character being much more than a grounded superhero.
Great scoop.
Yes, Chief, thanks to Superman.
Now, it's fascinating to see the development of both the Man of Tomorrow and the Sailor. From their comic origins to animated shorts and eventually live-action movies. However, it's interesting to see what has become of the two in more recent times. While Superman is still a very well-known character with comics, movies and TV shows being made about him to this day, Popeye seems to have fallen to the wayside, having his animated movie be seemingly cancelled and not having any true revivals or series similar to how other cartoons such as Looney Tunes have. Either way, they are both two of my favourite fictional characters of all time, being in some great shorts and stories that have gone on to inspire much more. And with that, thank you for watching this video, guys. I know I haven't been posting for a while, but let me know if you enjoyed this new style of content that I'm trying out here. Thanks.